You never forget the day your own son asks you to step aside. He held out a cold key, eyes darting anywhere but my face. Dad, it's just for a while. Anna needs rest. There's more space for her in your room. The words echoed, gentle but final. That afternoon, I found myself alone in the garage. A cot, a single bulb, and my old boxes for company. Through the tiny window, I watched Anna, heavy with child, arrange scented candles where my books once were. My grandson's drawings, gone from the walls. In their place, a new family forming, right where I used to belong. Dinner was quiet. Their laughter reached me through thin walls, soft, muffled, just out of reach. They spoke about nurseries, cribs, baby names. I caught my own reflection in the toaster. A tired man, silent, unseen. It wasn't anger I felt, just a slow ache. Like being put in the attic with old coats. Still here, but out of the way. When did I become invisible? Was there a moment I missed? Or did it happen little by little, until nothing was left but my shadow? That night, wrapped in a thin blanket, I turned the key in my hand, the only thing still mine. I could wait for them to remember me, or I could show them the true weight of silence. So, as the house settled and the moon kept its watch, I packed a single bag and walked out, quietly, no goodbyes. Would they remember me in the morning? Or would my silence speak louder than I ever could? Mornings are different when your place in the world has shifted. Sunlight crept through the garage window, but the warmth never reached me. I sat on the edge of my cot, hands wrapped around a mug of coffee gone cold. No one knocked. No footsteps. Just the sound of life continuing on the other side of the wall. I listened as Anna laughed in the kitchen, her voice carrying, light and easy. My son's deeper tone followed, gentle, but never meant for me. They spoke of doctor's visits, baby names, a future I was no longer part of. I wanted to believe I mattered, that someone would notice the empty space at the table. But breakfast came and went. The garage stayed silent. Outside, I watched as my grandson chased a soccer ball across the grass. His laughter, sharp and free, never glancing back at the place where I now slept. It's a strange thing, how quickly a home can turn into a house. How quickly a man becomes a memory, even while he's still breathing. I made small repairs in the garage to fill the hours, tightened loose screws, organized old tools, kept my hands busy so my mind wouldn't wander. No one came to check. No one asked if I was okay. At night, I heard voices through the wall. Plans for baby showers, paint colors, family gatherings. My name was never spoken. The ache grew heavier. Not sharp, but steady, like a stone in my chest. Sometimes I caught my own reflection in the dusty glass. A ghost moving quietly in the corner of his own life. Did I do something wrong? Or was loving too quietly my only mistake? As the days blurred together, the silence between us became its own language. And I wondered, how long before they realized the cost of forgetting the ones who built their home? Days passed. Maybe it was weeks. Time meant less and less inside those four walls. I became an early riser. Old habits, I suppose. The rest of the house slept in, safe and warm. I swept the garage floor each morning, careful not to wake anyone. Stacked my memories in silent rows. Old photos, medals from a forgotten war, birthday cards yellowed by years. One afternoon, my son stopped by the door. He didn't step inside, just leaned in, phone pressed to his ear. "Hey, Dad, everything okay out here?" His words felt more like a check mark on a list than a question. I nodded, forcing a small smile. He left before I could answer. I heard Anna on the phone later, laughing about new curtains, telling her mother how Dad is being a good sport about it all. A good sport. Funny how you can lose everything and still be expected to clap. That evening, a neighbor came by. He peeked into the garage, eyes wide. "Thought you'd moved away," he whispered. I shook my head, embarrassed. Hard to explain a fall from grace you never saw coming. That night, rain battered the tin roof. Each drop sounded like a memory I couldn't escape. I stared at the ceiling, remembering how I'd built this home. board by board, with my bare hands. 1,000 small sacrifices. Years of holding everyone together, quietly. Now, I was a ghost in my own story. Still, I left the porch, light on out of habit, as if anyone would come looking. A question circled my mind like the wind through broken windows. How do you make peace with being replaced by your own blood? Or is peace something only the forgotten ever find? Sometimes, silence is louder than any storm. I started keeping a journal. Just scraps of thought on the backs of receipts and old envelopes. Questions I never dared ask aloud. Did they miss me? Or was I already a shadow before the garage door closed? One afternoon, Anna knocked, just once. She left a plate of food on the step. No eye contact, just a gentle tap and gone. Meatloaf, potatoes, a slice of pie. No note. I stared at the meal for a long time, wondering if it was kindness or obligation. I ate in silence, chewing slowly, tasting nostalgia in every bite. Later, I heard laughter drifting from the living room. A baby shower, voices I didn't recognize, gifts I'd never see. They toasted to new beginnings. I raised a paper cup of water to old endings. At night, the walls felt thinner. I heard Anna crying softly. My son's voice, low and urgent, comforting her with promises. No one spoke my name. I folded a blanket tighter around my shoulders, listened to the rain, the hum of a distant world. One morning, my grandson wandered out to the garage. He stood in the doorway, small arms crossed, head tilted. "Grandpa, why don't you live in the house anymore?" His question hung in the air, innocent, brutal. I swallowed hard, searching for words gentle enough for a child. Sometimes, people need space to grow. And sometimes, grown-ups need time to remember what matters most. He nodded, as if he understood, then ran back inside, laughter trailing behind. For a moment, I wondered if anyone else heard the ache in my answer, or if silence was now my only voice. The days grew colder. Autumn crept in, painting the yard in gold and rust. I pulled my old coat tighter, watching from the garage as leaves gathered at the door. Inside, life went on. They painted the nursery a cheerful yellow, hung curtains, built a crib. My laughter used to fill those rooms. Now only the echo remained. A neighbor waved one morning, hesitated, then moved on. Word travels fast in small towns. They must have heard I'd become the man in the garage. I caught my son's eye at dinner once, just for a moment. He smiled, a polite practice thing. But there was a flicker of something behind it. Guilt, maybe. Or fear of what he'd become. Anna hardly looked my way anymore. Her world was tiny now, crib, diapers, soft lullabies. I tried not to resent them. But resentment is like a slow leak. Quiet, steady, impossible to ignore. One evening, I overheard them talking. "We should check on Dad," Anna whispered. My son sighed. "He's fine. He's always fine." They wanted to believe that the strong become invisible. That love is a room you can simply walk out of. That night, I lit a single candle. Wrote a letter I never planned to send. When the time comes, you'll understand what it means to be alone in a house full of family. I folded it, placed it in my coat pocket. The wind howled outside, rattling the garage door. I wondered how much longer my presence would haunt their happiness, and if the lesson hidden in my silence was already starting to take root. Winter announced itself with a cruel wind. Frost crept across the garage window each morning, etching patterns that looked like the cracks in my own heart. I shuffled through my days, layering sweaters, wrapping myself in the old army blanket I'd once used for camping trips with my boy. Sometimes I heard them arguing late at night. My son's voice sharp and as tired and strained. Small things turned to storms. A misplaced receipt, unfinished chores, a nightlight left on. My absence was no longer a relief. It became an open space that made everything colder. Anna grew distant. She called her mother more, her laughter forced and thin. My son avoided the garage, pretending not to notice how the world inside his house was changing. The baby arrived on a bitter morning. A blur of shouts and car doors. Then silence. No one came to tell me. I sat on my cot, listening to the house wake up to a new life. One I was not invited to join. Neighbors sent casseroles, balloons, flowers. I watched through the window as family visited. Arms full of gifts, eyes shining. No one knocked on the garage door. For the first time, I didn't feel sadness. I felt a strange peace, like standing on a shore, finally letting go of a heavy stone. My grandson came by again, holding a picture he'd drawn. "Grandpa, that's our family," he said, pointing to each figure. But I was just a tiny shadow in the corner. He ran off, laughing, leaving me alone with the cold and the truth. Sometimes, absence becomes the only way people learn what presence ever meant. I tucked the letter deeper into my coat, ready for the day when they would finally understand the lesson I'd left behind. It didn't happen all at once. At first, there were just small cracks in their new world. Anna stopped singing to the baby at night. My son lingered by the kitchen window, staring out toward the garage, lost in thought. The house, once alive with plans and laughter, grew heavy with silence and questions no one dared ask. One afternoon, Anna's mother left in a hurry, her goodbye curt, her eyes worried. The nursery walls echoed with a baby's cry, no longer soothed by gentle words. My grandson grew quieter, drawing pictures with empty spaces. Bills piled up on the hallway table. My son's voice, once steady, now frayed around the edges. He snapped at Anna. Anna cried alone. I watched it unfold from behind frosted glass. The unraveling of a happiness built on pushing someone away. One evening, I saw my son standing in the driveway, shivering in the blue dusk. He looked at the garage, eyes searching for something he'd lost. His shoulders sagged. A man who'd won every argument, but lost something much deeper. He walked toward me, hesitated at the door, then turned back inside. I sat with my thoughts, the letter in my coat pocket growing heavier with each passing day. Was this regret? Or just the first taste of loneliness he'd always thought belonged to me? That night, a storm rolled in, thunder rattling windows, rain hammering the roof. I listened, wondering if my silence was finally being heard. And in the darkness, I felt the faintest tremor of change, as if the lesson was about to unfold, not with words, but with everything left unsaid. Morning came with an uneasy hush. I woke to footsteps outside the garage, urgent, then hesitant, as if the world itself was unsure. My son stood there, hair uncombed, eyes swollen with sleepless worry. He knocked, softly at first, then louder. I opened the door. He didn't speak right away. His words tumbled out, broken and raw. "Dad, I'm sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing. The house, it doesn't feel like home anymore. Anna cries all the time. The baby won't sleep. Everything feels wrong without you inside." The silence between us was heavy, but it wasn't cold. He looked smaller somehow, like the boy who once asked me to chase away his nightmares. I handed him the letter from my coat pocket, creases worn deep by restless nights. He read every line in silence. His hand shook. Tears traced lines through years of pride. He whispered, "I never meant for this. I just wanted to be a good father. I forgot how to be a son." I let my hand rest on his shoulder. Sometimes, the only forgiveness left is the one you give quietly, when words are too small for sorrow. Inside, Anna watched us from the window, eyes red, holding the baby close. My grandson pressed a drawing to the glass. This time, a family with everyone inside. No one said it, but everything changed in that silent moment. Days later, they cleared out the garage. My son moved my things back into the house, not with fanfare, but with gentle hands. He left the door open, light spilling in. I sat at the table that night, the sound of family returning, not perfect, but real. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened, but sometimes it opens a door where only walls once stood. In the quiet, I felt whole again.